Hey, this is Jeremy from the New Home Buyer's Guide, your guide through the home buying process from step one all the way through moving into your new home. We're walking you through it. I'm here today with Deb Tomaro, a realtor here in Bloomington, Indiana, and a radio show voice in her own radio show world. Deb, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So we're going to dig right now into the process of finding the homes that you want to actually look at. When you're looking for a new home, obviously there's lots of ways of doing that. And I'm wondering, from a realtor's perspective, how do you advise your buyers to start the process of looking for that home that they want to connect with and purchase?
Sure. I think it can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes it's like trying to buy shoes online and there's like 600 choices and you're like, and then you just give up. And looking online for homes is similar because there's literally thousands of websites out there. One of the secrets that I think it's important to understand is that most of those websites all have the same homes. There are no secret websites. People always say, well, what about, these bank-owned homes? And is there a secret place to look? And honestly, if people want to sell their homes, they're not going to be secret about it. They understand that they need to be out there and everywhere. Absolutely. But, I always kind of just briefly explain the way it works in terms of getting homes out onto the internet. Every realtor belongs to a local board of realtors, and we have local databases that we input our information into. And then that local information feeds out to all the thousands of databases out there. So if you're looking at Trulia or the Realtor Hated Zillow or whatever websites, they're all going to have pretty much the same homes. I encourage my clients when they're searching online to use whatever database or whatever website gives them the search capabilities that they're most comfortable with. But then I always recommend to come back to our local site. So in Bloomington, it's homefinder.org. That's our local site, and that's going to give you the most robust information about the property because not all the information transfers easily out to all these different websites. So you may not get all the pictures, you may not get all the tax information. So search on whatever site you want, and then come back to the local site to kind of get the full scoop.
So kind of first step is go online.
Pretty much.
Go out there. There's the national websites, the Trulia, the Zillow, the realtor.com, and you're going to look at those. But also, if you have a local site, in Bloomington, we have homefinder.org. Other towns probably have similar types of sites. Then that's going to have a little bit more information. But really kind of get your search started by looking online.
Right. One of the things I do with my clients, we typically meet up front. We talk about their requirements. I usually ask them, hey, do you have some homes you've been stalking online? We know that's what you do at 2 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep in bed with your iPad. And they usually present me with some homes and we talk about them and we look them up online, and that helps me get a good feel for what they're looking for. Then I typically go through our system and email them any listings I think might be an option, and I ask them for their feedback. Because again, that's helping me understand better what exactly it is that floats their boat and interests them and meets their needs. But one of the things that I always, every realtor has their own process. So ask your realtor up front what their process is and make sure that you're comfortable with that. Some realtors will set you up on automatic searches. I'm personally not a fan of that in today's market because we're having such a shortage of homes that you have to think outside the box. And when you set up search parameters, and you may set up your own search parameters on Zillow or Trulia or whatever website you're using, it forces you to define a box. And I think in today's market, because of this shortage, we sometimes have to think outside the box. And often we find very good fits just outside that box. So I don't send those automatic searches because I think it gets us lazy. I look at new listings 3, 4, 5 times a day. Go through my Rolodex of clients and send out any listings that I think are good matches.
So automatic searches are something that maybe a realtor sometimes suggests a setup on some kind of system where it'll automatically pull houses that potentially would connect with you. What you're saying is that is the box. That's kind of how it's works inside the box. What would be some, I guess you gave one example of how it would work outside the box, and that's simply your realtor digging in every day and making sure they know what new stuff is out there. Are there other outside of the box ways that the right home could be found?
Well, I mean, a lot of what we're doing this time of year in our market is unlisted homes. So I'm doing a lot of matchmaking. So I know someone who has a home to sell. Maybe it's not quite ready. And so networking, having a realtor who can really network for you is really important too, because that's honestly, in the past 2 weeks, that's pretty much all I've been doing, is just matching up people with homes that I know are going to come on the market and haven't come on the market yet.
So when it's a seller's market, which means there aren't very many houses out there and there's lots of buyers looking for houses, one of the ways that realtors solve that is simply by having connections, knowing who's about to sell their house, and say, hey, you know, I've got a great person to buy even before it goes on the market.
Right. And just trying to stir up the market as much as they can.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, and that goes back to picking a good, you know, the right realtor.
Yeah.
And we certainly have some videos out there about how to pick the right realtor, but your realtor is super important in the process.
Absolutely.
And is going to connect you with not only the stuff inside the box, what's out there and available, but potentially even stuff outside the box that is not available or is about to come available.
I can't tell you the number of times where I've sort of pushed someone to say, well, what about, I know you've said this location and this is your boundary, but what if we just stepped right across it a little bit, and they find their dream home right over there?
Yeah.
Or they say, well, I have to have 3 bedrooms. And if you put that in a search parameter, it may not give you something that's 2 bedrooms in an office because it doesn't have a closet. We can't call it a bedroom. And that might work perfectly well for you too.
Cool. So all those relationships between what's out there and your realtor are great ways to find the houses before you actually go and see them. Anything else folks can do to find those perfect homes for them?
I mean, just don't overwhelm yourself. Pick a website and stick with it. I think that's the big thing, because I think they get really, really overwhelmed with too many websites and trying to figure it out. And again, the biggest point I can make is there are no secrets. The secret, honestly, is being prepared. And I know we've talked about that in another segment. Being pre-qualified before you even start looking, being available and able to jump to go look at a house the second it comes on the market. Those are the secrets, not where they are, because really, if you want to sell your house, you put it out there on the internet.
Absolutely, yeah. If you want to sell something, you're going to do everything you can to find the right buyers out there. Okay. Thank you, Deb. So if someone wants to find you, how can they do so?
Sure. My website is realrealestatetoday.com, and you can, there's a link there. You can get you to Voice America if you want to listen to any of my radio shows, and you can also download on iTunes. It's Real Real Estate Today is the radio show, and there's about 53 hours there worth of great information to answer many, many, many of your questions about home buying and selling.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jeremy.
If you enjoyed this video and you feel like you want to learn more about the new home buying process, we've got the perfect resource for you. The New Home Buyer's Guide is a 9-step course that walks you through the entire home buying process. We'll talk credit, realtors, finding your home, and so much more. The course includes a workbook to organize the process and a closed Facebook group to see how other buyers are dealing with the same bumps, the same bruises, and the same celebrations that you are. Check it out at newhomebuyersguide.net. And finally, there are 2 things you need to do right now. The first is to subscribe to our channel. We love to put out great information about home buying, insurance, and other financial stuff. The second, if you feel like great things are happening at this channel, please do share on your social networks. Good information is only great when it's shared. Until the next time, have a wonderful day.